The Accidental Entrepreneur is produced by Beinhacker Law and brought to you through our affiliate relationships with the following sponsors. One of One Productions, the New Jersey-based podcast studio that produces and edits both audio and video podcasts. They sell equipment for the average podcaster and have even created a guesting kit exclusively for our listeners. North Authentic, the conscious hair care marketplace offering the cleanest brands from around the world. The Healthy Place, the e-commerce site with thousands of supplements to help you live a healthier life, along with natural solutions for chronic pain, stress, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, and much, much more. And be sure to support the podcast by ordering some logo merchandise from our online store. Listen to all of our sponsors' commercials later in this episode and follow their links in the show notes to learn more about their products and services.
How many patients do you need to bring through that door in order to even break even? He had no idea.
He had no idea. I know that's the thing.
Idea.
Like, doctors really think they could just practice medicine, all take care of themselves. But that's why a lot of them end up selling out to these hospital groups and stuff because they can't manage themselves.
Yeah. And that's exactly it.
They don't realize that they're entrepreneurs, and they really are. You know who the ones that are good at it because they have less choice are the chiropractors. They're business people. And I think chiropractic school teaches them to be business people,
Probably.
Not in medicine.
The fact that I went back to college and got my degrees, I was in a position where I could. Okay. I had a husband that had a job, a good job. I could take time off because my son was in middle school. We didn't want him being a latchkey kid. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my degrees. Okay. Yeah. Well,
my mom did the same thing actually when she was in her 30s. She never got a college degree. She went. Yeah.
Yep. But that's where I realized I didn't know what I didn't know about running a business.
Right.
Okay. I knew marketing, I knew graphic design, but I didn't know the business side of things.
Yeah.
So the reason I started MarketAtomy.Academy was in order to bring that college level learning in an environment and in a manner that micro business owners could understand.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work. And they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinhacker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode.
Hi, this is Danna Olivo, the business birthing specialist with MarketAtomy.com and MarketAtomy.Academy.
All right, Danna. So thanks so much for coming on the show. I was thinking, how did we connect? Did we connect through a networking group or somebody? I want to say one of the websites.
I think it was through Podmatch or something. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I get a lot of connections with Podmatch and Matchmaker FM and
yes.
podcast guests. They're good websites. And you're a podcaster too. You have a podcast. We'll talk all about that. But maybe you could take us back before we get into MarketAtomy and what it does and the Academy and all the great things you're doing for entrepreneurs. Maybe we go into your background and talk about, where you're from and what your training was and how you got into business and all those types of things.
Well, I come from about 35 years within the architectural engineering construction market.
Okay.
I worked business strategy as well as marketing and business development within that industry, mostly on the commercial side. I worked through every single logistical cycle within that industry.
Got it.
So in 2009, when I was laid off from one of the world's largest construction management firms, that's how I ended up in Brazil. Brazil had just won the awards for both the 2014 World Cup Games and the 2016 Summer Olympics. So with my knowledge and experience, I knew what was getting ready to break loose down there.
Okay.
And we're struggling here. So
that was Rio, right?
Rio and Sao Paulo.
Oh, okay. They were both
Rio
Brazil,
and
right?
Sao Paulo. Yeah.
I remember that. Okay.
So I spent the next 3.5, 4 years working between the US and Brazil, creating inroads for companies here that were struggling to partner with companies down in Brazil.
Oh, okay. So you started helping entrepreneurs do business down there.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So I would basically work with the clients down there, the partners down there, get them to the decision table, introduce them to the different technologies, because understand, Brazil was a good 5 to 8 years behind us.
Right.
In technology, in systems, methodologies, everything. And so I was basically working to get them to the decision table and introducing new systems. And, we ended up introducing steel technology, because Brazil was known for their cement. That's what they manufactured. But they just did not have the time in order to build the facilities and everything else that they needed using cement.
Right. So you made a connection and they built a steel plant down there?
Well, no, not.
Or they just sold them steel?
Yeah, no, we introduced the methodology, steel construction methodology.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yes. So what year was that? How far back was that?
2009, 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, 2009, 2010. They were, Brazil was going through a major overhaul because they had won these awards and they had put a lot of effort into having these games turn things around for them.
Right, because it brings a lot of economic
it does. It does.
Stuff to the town.
But
jobs and things.
Unfortunately, as much as I love Brazil, they're like my second home when it comes to planning, which I am all about strategic planning.
Obviously,
when it comes to planning, they are terrible.
Yeah.
They are terrible. And that's what gets them in trouble, because they end up, overspending or, getting into a pinch as far as getting things done. They managed to pull it out, which was good. But a lot of those facilities end up sitting. They don't get
that's what happens. Everybody leaves, the games are over, and it goes back to the way it was. And you made your money, and then what happens? That happened in China too, I think.
Yeah,
they're reusing some of the stuff, I think, from the Summer Olympics, but right?
No, but what we tried doing down in Brazil is to introduce to them, okay, let's take it a step farther. Let's look at, they were in the middle of what they called the Pact 2, which is where they wanted to build, I think it was like 1 million homes.
Right.
For, those that were in the favelas and things like that, trying to clean up the favelas.
What are favelas? Like poor? The
favelas are the slums.
Got it.
The favelas are the slums down in Brazil. And so they were trying to clean up the favelas, but they didn't take into consideration, first of all, how these people who were squatting in the, who were in the favelas, how they would take to being relocated, first of all. Secondly, they had a tremendous issue as far as their labor force, because the previous president, Lula, had introduced a program that paid similar to our welfare system.
Right.
Okay. And as a result, there were a lot of people, especially in the favela areas, that said, why would I go to work for somebody when I'm getting paid the same amount through the government?
Right.
So their labor force was hit pretty hard. There's a lot of things that they struggled with, Yeah,
we learned a lot of that during the pandemic, right?
Exactly.
What do I have to wash dishes for when I make the same amount of money on unemployment?
Well, that's exactly it. And look at it. There's been, my understanding through reports I've read, there's been like an 84% increase in new business license applications since the beginning of COVID, and if we don't get a handle on, which we're getting into why MarketAtomy was developed, if we don't get a handle on the number of failed micro businesses, we're going to be hurting in a few years.
Yeah, there's no question about it, because the failure rate, it'll still be at the same percentage, but it's going to be a lot more.
It's going to be a lot more.
And usually those statistics don't even account for the ones that struggle and just keep going, but aren't doing, aren't really doing well. They're just surviving.
Yes, exactly. Back to your question, as far as where my background comes from, I've failed in business twice before. Right. So I know what these micro businesses are going through, and I know the struggles that they go through to find the help that they need in order to, succeed in business. And when I couldn't find it, it just, not only does it hurt the individual who fails in business, but the family environment is hurt.
Sure.
And the psyche of the business owner takes a hit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that answers my question. Then I was going to say, where did you come up with what was the genesis for the business that you run now? It was basically because you saw there was a need. There are some programs. I don't know if you have SCORE down there and some of these programs, but they fill different buckets. They don't really.
Exactly it. That's exactly it. SCORE is a great program for introducing, small businesses to what they need to be looking at, and things like that. But SCORE does not bring what these micro business owners who don't know what they don't know about running a business. Okay. They don't bring that hand holding, that sequential help that they need.
Right.
Okay.
Right. No, they'll help you write a business plan, get the thoughts together, but then you're kind of on your own.
Yeah. What do I do next? And that's where a lot of these business owners come in, is they say, okay, I've got a great business. I know I can make money with my product or service. Yeah. But they don't know how to build that infrastructure around that product or service to succeed.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they don't know when it comes to operations, to cash flow, to finance, to, marketing.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
I jokingly tell them, you could have the best product or service in the world, but if you don't have customers coming through your door, it's like being pregnant without a way to deliver.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny that's why it's called the accidental entrepreneur, right?
Yes, exactly.
I always boil down. It's funny because I boiled down, if you really want to boil down a business plan, how you're going to strategically attack your business. It falls in the exact 4 buckets that you said, right? You have your product or service, right? But you got to focus on your marketing, got to focus on your skills, your people. Do you need people? Maybe there's things you're doing you don't know how to do, and your financials. And if any one of those things is ignored, it's not that it can't be dealt with, right? There are resources, your company, other things. But if you ignore it and you figure, oh, you're so excited about making this product, I'm talking to people in China and around the United States to produce this and that, and then you end up with a garage full of stuff, and you don't even know if the marketplace is going to buy it with the price. You don't have any of that stuff lined up. You've just wasted money, time, and exactly. It didn't have to be that way, right?
Yep, that's exactly it. In fact, MarketAtomy was founded on a 5-phased growth process that, early stage businesses, new businesses, micro businesses, whatever, need to go through. And it begins with the actual napkin stage, seeing the business, deciding, okay, I'm going to go into business. What am I going to sell? That type deal. But then once you've done that, you need to make sure that it's going to be a viable product or service. Are people going to pay the money that needs to be made in order to, or do they want it? That's what we call the prove it stage or phase.
Yeah.
And then they move into the biggest phase, which is the build it phase. Because once they've proven viability and everything, now they need to start setting up those systems and those processes and the operations, the hiring, everything that they need, in order to facilitate the business.
Right. I find a lot of business owners skip the prove it stage.
Oh, they do.
And they jump to, they're so excited about their product and their service and this, and they start off and they haven't even asked the question, just because there's a void for whatever you do or whatever you're making, or that there might be a void because nobody wants it. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal to people, and you think it's a big deal. And yeah, I think, and I find that the good entrepreneurs that I've interviewed and probably that you've worked with, they constantly test, they constantly ask their customers. They're not confident, and they shouldn't be, that whatever the reason is, they think that people are buying their product or service, that they're correct. Because usually we're wrong or it changes or whatever. and we're just getting lucky. And the really good ones are always asking and testing and trying different things. And hey, you know what? Why did you buy that from me? What was the reason? How did that help you? And then they said, well, we needed to do this. And then you go, really? And then it opens up a whole, right? And then you build new systems around that. And that's the frustration that I have as a business attorney.
As a business attorney. Yeah, exactly. You know, if anything, they don't think about the legal aspects starting out.
Oh my God. Forget about it. They don't have anything in writing.
They don't think about the accounting aspects starting out. They don't think about how they're going to set up their business, you know?
Yeah.
We all go through that as early stage business owners. Unless you have an MBA in business and a marketing degree or something like that. You know, in fact, when I had failed twice before, it was after those two failures that I went back to school.
Yeah.
Because I had a degree in marketing or an AA in marketing and graphic design. And I went back to school and spent the next 2 years getting my BS degree in marketing business.
Yeah.
And management information systems, which is database design.
Right. Okay. Well, you know, failing in business is kind of like you learning what you don't know.
Exactly.
Right? You don't know what you don't know, but then you found out, wait, I don't know that. So you go back. And I think people could, if they put the time in, right? You could not get your own MBA online, but you can learn a lot. And the business owners that I know, like you mentioned, financials and accounting, they know their numbers and they know, you know, if there's some sort of a service business, they know how many new customers they need before they add another team to service these people. I mean, they have their numbers really down and they don't have to be doing the accounting themselves, right? You can hire a bookkeeper, but you got to be able to look at them and know what it means and say, oh yeah, okay, we're there. We just hit 25 customers. Now we can add 3 people because we know what our profit margins are and everything. And people don't do that. They just willy-nilly. They're like, oh, we're busy. Dana, we're busy. So we better hire 2 more people. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I had a client I was working with. He was a physician, and they had spent a whole lot of money outfitting their office, building out, you know, their
as doctors
office.
Do, right? Yeah.
Yeah, their office and everything, you know. And before he had hired me. Okay. And then I'm in there and I'm talking to him.
And this was a new office, like he didn't have patients yet?
This was a new office. And it was a
startup
urgent care office. Okay.
First of all. So you'd think there'd be people waiting in the parking lot when you got there, right? Yeah.
So their reasoning for positioning where they were was it was a very busy intersection. And they figured, okay, we're just going to attract the customers that way.
Right.
And then their hours were 8 until 5.
When people are at work.
Well, not only that, the doctor's offices are open.
Oh, right. Because urgent care, you generally go when your doctor's not available.
Exactly.
Right.
So after getting through that with him, you know, and I asked him, I said, how many patients do you need to bring through that door in order to even break even? He had no idea.
He had no idea. I know that's the thing. Like, doctors really think they could just practice medicine, all take care of themselves. But that's why a lot of them end up selling out to these hospital groups and stuff because they can't manage themselves.
Yeah. And that's exactly it.
They don't realize that they're entrepreneurs, and they really are. You know who the ones that are good at it because they have less choice are the chiropractors. They're business people. And I think chiropractic school teaches them to be business people, you know?
Probably.
Not in medicine.
You know, the fact that I went back to college and got my degrees, you know, I was in a position where I could, okay? You know, I had a husband that had a job, a good job. I could take time off because my son was in middle school. We didn't want him being a latchkey kid. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my degrees, okay? Yeah. Well,
my mom did the same thing actually when she was in her 30s. She never got a college degree. She went,
Yep. But that's where I realized I didn't know what I didn't know about running a business.
Right.
Okay. I knew marketing, I knew graphic design, but I didn't know the business side of things.
Yeah.
So the reason I started MarketAtomy.Academy was in order to bring that college level learning in an environment and in a manner that micro business owners could understand.
Sure. Yeah, because college is intimidating to people, especially as they're older. They're like, oh, you know, I'm not a kid. Why am I going to college? You know?
But they can go to MarketAtomy.Academy. They can learn how to put a cash flow together.
Right.
They can learn how to look at their systems and their methodologies and how to think more systematically. You know, these are the kind of things that we're bringing to the Academy so they don't have to spend the dollars or the time going back to school. This is a do-it-yourself environment. And every class or course offered through the Academy comes with a learning component and an interactive component. So they learn, and then they move into an active component towards they build a strategy or a program customized for their business based on what they learned.
So they come out with a working model.
They come out with a working plan as opposed to becoming self-help.
Right.
You know,
figuring it out on their own.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because, you know, most of the time when you go to conferences and stuff like that, you learn a whole bunch. You come back, you're all pumped.
Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff and you don't know what to do with it.
And then nothing happens.
Right, of course. You have all kinds of notes. And if you look back, you were like, I'm going to do this. And you probably can make a whole list of things that you didn't do. Definitely guilty of that when I would go to these marketing, get all pumped up. And then, you know what? Some of that, though, is commitment to success in your business. And I'm not suggesting, and I'm not, you know, saying that people aren't committed to being successful. They all want to be successful, right? It's just that, and I forget where I learned that, maybe from my father, but it's probably an adage from 100 years ago, right? Is that successful people do the things that unsuccessful people are unwilling to do, not generally unable to do. There is time, like you said, you don't know certain things, you educate yourself, but you're not unable to go educate yourself. You can do that. And the ones that are relentless and they're learning and doing, and, you know, and look, they learn very early on that just because you have cash flow doesn't mean that you're really in business. We learned that during the pandemic.
Well, I mean, a perfect example is MarketAtomy. Okay. When I started this, like I said, I back in 2009, I was working down in Brazil and stuff like that, but MarketAtomy didn't come about until about 2015. Okay. And it came about because while I was down in Brazil, one of Brazil's city buses, rapid city buses, hit me crossing the street to my apartment.
Like you were on your feet?
I was on my feet.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So
I guess you survived because you're here, so we can talk about it.
I survived. And needless to say, there was about a year there. I went through surgeries and rehab and stuff like that.
In Brazil?
No, 3 months down in Brazil.
And then you had to come. Yeah, I'm sure that's not, you don't want to stay.
Come home because I had
stay there too long.
Collapsed lung and all that other stuff.
Oh, this is serious. You were seriously injured.
Seriously. I had 7 broken ribs.
Oh my God.
Lung. I had 2 broken humerus bones. I had 2 blown eye sockets.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I
didn't know this was going to turn into a survivor story.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I jokingly tell them down there that I am the poster child of traffic planning.
Yeah, probably you are. Oh, yeah. So anyway, yeah, and you couldn't come home for a couple of months until you were able to travel back, right?
Exactly. And understand, I was the only person that was my company. I did not have.
Right. You were a solopreneur, right?
Yeah. So
like a lot of us.
Yeah. But when I got back, what happened was a lot of the other colleagues, friends that had gone through the recession that I did back in 2006, 7, 8, 9.
Right. That was when the real estate market collapsed and everything. Yeah.
Right. They had started their own business, just like what's going on with COVID.
Right.
And they came to me and they would say, Danna, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can't seem to attract these customers. I'm bleeding money. You know, what am I doing wrong? Well, in the process of talking to them, that's when it became blatantly obvious to me they didn't know what they didn't know.
Right.
Okay. So in an effort to explain to them in a language that they understood, I developed what's called the MarketAtomy concept.
So it was really just as a friend, you were helping them. And then you're like, wait a second, there are more people that need this help. Right. Exactly. It's interesting because your business is almost like it's a funny analogy, but the anatomy of a business, because you're creating your own business using the same methodology that you're now teaching other people. So,
well, when you think about it, and it's funny you said that, marketing anatomy.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
MarketAtomy concept is all about how a business compares to the human anatomy.
Here's a word from our sponsors. Looking to get into podcasting? Maybe to market your business for your own enjoyment or because you have a message you want to get out there. One of One Productions is a New Jersey-based studio just over the George Washington Bridge that caters to the booming business of podcasting. They offer a comfortable atmosphere using the latest technology available to record your podcast. And they are a full-service media company offering both audio and video production services, creating both audio and video podcasts as well as video shorts for business and personal use. Professional audio equipment packages are available through their website for all budgets, and be sure to check out their podcast guesting kit, created specially for our listeners. Care for your health, care for the planet, and look flippin' great doing it. North Authentic is a conscious hair care marketplace offering the cleanest brands from around the world. Their pro stylists curate only the most fabulous non-toxic hair products with better-for-you shampoos, serums, masks, and more that actually give you gorgeous hair without hurting your health or the planet. Hey, you've only got one life, one planet, and one glorious mane. Might as well treat them all as best you can, right? Try a 100% clean hair care routine prescribed just for you using their link in the show notes. If you don't see a big, beautiful difference in how your hair looks and feels, you can tell them they're crazy. Do you battle chronic pain, stress, anxiety, or depression? Well, if you take any supplements or you're interested in natural alternatives, you need to know about FindYourHealthyPlace.com. Find Your Healthy Place has thousands of supplements to help you live a better quality of life, as well as natural solutions for chronic pain, stress, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, and much, much more. Need guidance? Use their live chat feature and talk to a wellness consultant right on their website. And be sure to use our coupon code TAE Podcast for all your purchases to get the best prices at FindYourHealthyPlace.com. Follow their links in the show notes to learn more about all of our sponsors. And now back to our show.
Oh, that's easy to understand.
Yep. So as I explained to them, in the process, because they were having problems attracting customers.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, in the human body, you've got the heart. Mm-hmm. And that is your why. That is why you do what you do.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Of course.
It's the same thing in business.
Yeah.
What is your why?
Yeah.
It's not to make a whole bunch of money.
Yeah. Some people don't know what their why is. And they're just,
You've got to identify what your why is.
Yeah.
In the brain of the human body, it sends all the signals to the heart. It tells the heart what to do.
Right.
It's basically, well, in business, that's your playbook. Yeah. That's where your systems, your methodologies, your finances, even your product or service descriptions are in the brain of the business
plan. It's your working document.
Exactly. So I tell them, can the brain operate without the heart in the human body?
Right. Well, It's like the way we make decisions, right? We make emotional decisions, but we want to back it up with logic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things that
and
make
I say
sense.
it's the same thing in business. You need the heart and the brain working together.
Yeah.
To push your marketing message out through the veins of the body, which are your marketing channels, to the body, which is your market, your target audience. But when you think about it, the soul of the business is you.
Yeah.
You are the soul. It's your passion. It's your morals. It's everything that is you drives that business. Yeah. Because if you don't have all of this in place, you won't have those customers coming through the door.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how MarketAtomy was developed. That's how we came up with MarketAtomy. I showed it to my husband when I first did it. And he says, Danna, either they're going to look at it and say, okay, let's get started. Or they're going to look at that and they're going to run away because it's too much work.
Well, I think that's the problem. I think, when it comes to your heart and your why, right? As entrepreneurs, a lot of people are very right brain, right? They're very creative. They're excited about what they do. And they don't want to, they shy away from the left brain stuff, the stuff up here that you need to make the business successful. And that's what happens. And then they don't know their numbers and they don't know their cash flow and they don't have a game plan and, and all the things that go through it. And like you said, if you don't have customers coming, that's the lifeblood of any business. So if you don't have people that are doing business with you, all the other stuff doesn't matter.
No,
right. They can come to you, learn how to run their business, have all this great stuff in place. Nobody's walking through the door you're at that big intersection and people just keep driving by. It doesn't matter. It's all the other stuff is kind of a waste. So that they got to figure that out at the beginning, you know?
So when I was starting out, you know, and my focus was on micro business owners. Okay. I always knew they can't afford my consulting services. They can't afford my mentoring.
Yeah, a lot of my startups have the same problem.
Yeah. And everybody kept saying, well, you need to focus on those that are already. And I said, that's not the market. That's not the gap in the market right now.
Right.
So I had to figure out how I was going to be able to service these micro business owners in a way that they could afford, which is where the Academy came about.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, that's exactly your problem, right? You find a marketplace that needs your services, but doesn't have the ability to pay for your services in the traditional way. Right. So you figured out a way to bring it to them in mass and at a lower cost to you. And exactly.
That's what it takes. Right. When you're in business, you know what your why is, your passion is. You find a way to make it happen, you know, and you go through and you break through those barriers that are going to keep you from doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's how you succeed in business.
That is how you succeed in business. That's true. And, you know, being relentless and perseverant and all that stuff is important. But I mean, look, finding companies like yours that can teach you stuff and allow you to do things at a cost that you can swallow. And then as you grow, you know, you get a full-time coach. I'm sure you offer those services too. And you work closer with somebody one-on-one, and you really become a mentor and you build your business. And by the way, I'm a big fan of, you know, advisory boards, mentors, you know, because people don't realize that's what you learn when what you don't know, other people can teach you, you know, and look, we know the most successful people use coaches. It's the unsuccessful people that need the coaches. They're not using them.
Well, the whole premise of Academy is it's more than just education. It comes with the accountability and the mentoring that is needed. Because, you know, as entrepreneurs, we are going to hit those roadblocks and we're going to question, did I do the right thing? Have I done the right thing? And you need those coaches. You need those mentors to kind of guide you through that. Yeah.
And you need somebody to bounce things off of if you don't have a partner. Even if you do have a partner, they may be as clueless as you. I mean, you're both trying to run this business. Just because you're partners, it helps because you can talk things out, but it's still sometimes you need outside people that are not, invested in emotionally in success, you know, in the shiny objects in your business that everybody gets so excited about. So, it's interesting because I think that you have confirmed for me what I think are the 4 or 5, you know, not major steps. And then you see the steps that are big ones that people, you know, skip. They really have shiny object syndrome. They really don't know, you know, their numbers.
Well, the 4th step does get into after the build it and after you've proven the business model. Okay. The 4th step is the funding. People want to go straight from seeing the product or seeing the business into the funding stage. Right. What they don't realize is what they're giving up when they try and go for the money up front.
Right.
You've got
as opposed to like bootstrapping, right?
Exactly. It's, you know, self-funded, you know, those kind of things. Until you've got that proven business model, then you can go for the funding. But that funding is what leads to the growth stage. That's the 5th stage. Right.
But it doesn't have to be, you know, not every business goes for seed funding and then an A round and a B round. I mean, those are founders, often high tech. Most business owners, maybe some friends and family help them get started. But for the most part, you don't have to be, you know, raise $1 million or $10 million and then burn through it all.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. You know, that's the first thing they think about when, you know, a lot of them when they first start out is, I'll go for venture capital or I'll go for, you know, angel funding, you know, and stuff like that. What they don't realize is, first of all, they need to put themselves in the shoes of these venture capitalists.
Oh, yeah. You better be sharp with all of your numbers and everything you've done, the market research and your product, everything, because these people are going to look at you it's hard to raise that kind of money.
Just watch Shark Tank. You know, if you look at Shark Tank, the first questions they ask is, what kind of sales have you had?
Right.
You know, those kind of things. You know, what kind of market are you looking at? Those are the things that you figure out in the first 3 phases.
Yeah, sure. Well, because if an investor's looking at your your pitch deck, your business plan, whatever it is, if it doesn't make sense to him or her, they're going to move on to the next deal. They're going to be like, well, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. So this doesn't, it doesn't work. But yeah, I think people just think they can go out and raise money. And it's, look, the most successful people, they'll tell you they talk to 100, 200, 300, 400 people before they raise their first $1 million, which is a very big cap table. You and I know if you have 400 people for $1 million, you're managing a lot of different people and a lot of different relationships. But that's what happens. But those are the kind of businesses where they needed the money to produce the product. I have a client of mine right now that I'm working with that has licensed technology for what's the word? Like access using hand scanning, things like that, right? We use iris and things. Yep, so it's another technology. Well, they've gotten to the stage where they've done all the work and now they've done the prototype, they've done the they have people that are looking to distribute the product. They just need to produce the product. So now through a small investment banker, they're looking to raise seed money, a couple of $1 million, but they're ready to produce this product. They have the company to make it. They just need to make the device so they can start using it and selling it and testing it and things like that. But it took him a long time to get there. It took him a very long time to get there of his own money and bootstrapping things.
That's exactly it. There's a lot of money that goes into development of a product like that.
Yeah.
And the thing is we've got so many young, not even just young, but older as well, but so many entrepreneurs out there that are very good at the programming and the development of these applications and these programs.
The product itself, the service.
But to go to market, they have no idea. I mean, I'm a database designer, okay? Right. And I have developed an assessment platform, okay, that's still in the development stages. I don't do the programming. I design. I'm the architect, that type deal. And so I'm still waiting on them to finish just the last maybe 8% of this platform so that I can start beta testing.
Yeah.
I've already got the marketing all laid out. Everything's all laid out.
Right, because you're not the programmer. You need the programmers to do it.
But I need them to finish this up, but that's all they know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So this gentleman who has this product, he didn't make the product. It was through some other company, Department of Energy grant or whatever, but they're not business people. They're engineers. So they licensed it to him. He's a business guy and that's what he's focusing on. Yeah. But that's what makes these things happen. When you know what your lane is and you know what you're good at, there are ways to be in business and not try and do things that you're not skilled to do. You got to get other people in the loop. And that's what these people do. They make these things, whatever it is they develop, and then they license it. And then they let the people who know what they're doing, marketing and building the product, do that portion of it.
Yeah. And sometimes licensing is the answer. Sometimes it might be just hiring somebody to do the programming or do this or
joint venture or something like that.
Or something to that effect, but understanding where your weaknesses are and being able to rely on those experts to help you where your shortfalls are.
Sure. Well, the death knell of any business owner is he or she thinking they can do everything themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Or thinking that it's cheaper for them because ultimately it ends up costing them more.
Right.
When they try and do it all themselves.
Much more time, energy, of course. No,
when I have to, as a solo entrepreneur, I'm not really, I work with gig economy and stuff. Right, so I have a team that I work with, but as a solo entrepreneur, when I'm thinking about, I know I have to do this marketing or I have to do this and it's going to cost this much, and stuff like that. I also know as a strategist, I can't do my own strategy. I cannot, work on my own strategy. So I have a strategist that works with me and I work with him and he says, okay, here's what we need to do, and everything. I said, okay, what's the cost going to be and everything? And he tells me, and I say, okay. I says, your job is to make that happen. My job is to find the money so that you can make it happen.
Exactly. That's they're supposed to do it. That's your job. Right.
Yeah. My expertise is going out and finding the money, either with products or something. And that's the way you have to look at it. You have to look at just because money's not in the bank account right now. You have to look at, okay, what can I do today that's going to help funnel those funds into what I need to do?
Right.
Yeah. So Yeah. You can't base business decisions on what is in your bank account right now.
Right.
But at the same time, if you go for a loan, if you decide that the way you're going to do this or fund this is you're going to go for a loan or, an equity loan or something like that, I tell my customers, if you're going to go for an equity loan and put yourself in debt, make sure that debt goes to revenue earned. Okay? Because the money
you can pay it back.
You want it paid back.
Right.
Okay. You don't want to invest in something, in some kind of capital or something like that, that is not going to generate revenue. If it's a fleet of trucks or, or something like that, that you need in order to do your business, that's one thing. If it's marketing costs, marketing is going to bring in revenue.
Right.
As long as you do it the right way.
Right. Yeah. No, understandable. All right. So let's go. I don't know how much time you have, but maybe we can go through MarketAtomy and, if somebody comes to MarketAtomy, what do they go through? You mentioned the 5 phases, but where do they start? With the academy, do they start working with you? What's the whole experience is what I'm asking.
I would say that the first thing they want to do is they go in and register, no charge, just register with MarketAtomy.Academy.
Academy, just like it says on the screen.
Just like on my screen.
.com, .academy. We'll put a link in the show notes, but okay.
Right. Good. So go ahead and do that. And then you can go in and you can look through the academy. You can see the types of courses that we have in there. We have about 70 right now, I think. But
and these are video courses?
And some of them are video, some of them are PowerPoint, some of them are just, words per se, written, all of them very graphically. It's a very clean, easy to follow site. Okay. We have set the academy up so that they can easily go from what do I do now? What do I do next? That type deal. They
can just follow the steps.
Right. And the courses, they are all primarily within the range of, say, $25 to maybe $65.
Oh, so everything's affordable.
All within their price range. There are some of them that are series. So you do have prerequisites. You go through, the first one, second one, third one,
the third one wouldn't make sense unless you did the first two, right? Yeah.
And then by going through the academy and registering with the academy, they're immediately put into our system. So they will get notifications when new courses come on, that type deal. They can go and sign up for courses. The nice thing is we have it set up to where's on our pricing strategy, they can purchase banks of credit. Okay. At a discounted rate. Okay. So up to 25% discount off of what the cost would be, say, for 50 credits.
Right. So I understand. So if they pre-buy credits, they're doing a discount and then credit.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. As opposed to dollars.
Right.
So we've really taken into consideration a lot of that. With the academy, you also have access to our monthly, sometimes 2-3 times a month, free information webinars.
Okay. Which are given by you?
Yeah, by me, by my strategic partners. They might specialize, in something like that. For instance, right now I am partnered with the U.S. government on creating awareness and driving micro business owners into the no bid federal contracts side of things. Right now is a time
I think I saw something about that on your website. Yeah,
you want to get involved in federal contracting, and micro business owners don't have that experience.
Right. And federal contracting in what areas? What kind of things do the government?
Landscapers, handymen, house cleaning or commercial cleaning, all different. We've got over 400,000 federal buildings throughout the United States. All of them
they're all looking for, and it's all a bid process.
Yeah. IT services, management consultants, all of that. So that is one of the programs. As part of MarketAtomy Academy, you will have firsthand information on a lot of this stuff so that you can get involved. Right.
Very good. Very good. So blue collar, white collar, gray collar, the whole thing.
Exactly. We want to be the resource for micro business owners to get whatever information they need, the resources they need. Ultimately, my goal, what you call a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal.
Of course.
Is to get in front of Congress.
Okay.
And get a bill passed so that if you're going for a new business license and you show that you've been certified in business courses, you're prepared to run your business, that you can qualify for incentives, federal incentives.
Like grants or whatever.
Grants and stuff like that. You show that you have done the work that needs to be done in order to effectively succeed in business.
It would, there's a lot of resources out there, but a lot of it's hard to get to, or they don't understand it, or, so you're kind of bringing that together.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that if we can make a dent in the number of failed businesses and help those businesses succeed, it's going to pump more money into our GDP.
No question about it.
It's going to strengthen our labor force and strengthen the psyche of the business owner and their family environment.
Yeah, you mentioned it before, and it is a question still. You had a lot of people, they call it the big quit, right? Everybody went and quit their jobs and said, well, I don't need to do this anymore. My life's more precious and we got to die and all this type of stuff. But now you have all these people forming these small businesses, and, you wonder how many of them are going to succeed,
right?
That they won't have to go back to work, or it's, because it's not for everybody. It can be, but a lot of people don't take the time to say, okay, well, maybe I don't know this and I better learn it. And I think that's certainly what you and I are, the word we're trying to get out to people. But I think just human nature is that there's going to be a fair amount of people not always fail, but maybe give up. They don't want to do the things they need to do.
Too hard, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you're talking about the baby boomers and stuff like that are up there and they're getting close to retirement, and they realize, okay, I need this side hustle to help me manage finances in retirement, that type deal. The government didn't do us any favors with our 401ks, and stuff like that, our Social Security.
Yeah, it's not enough to live on in most cases.
Yeah, no, definitely. So
you find these people, they're going to have to work in retirement, basically.
Yep, that's exactly it. So that's pretty much what Market is all about.
All right, good. So I know people can connect with you on LinkedIn, right? You're on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Is the main site MarketAtomy.com, and the Academy is a piece of that? Okay. So if they went to the .com, they would still get to.
Yes, the Academy is there. There's a tab for the Academy. Yeah,
very
exactly.
Good. Yeah.
And then we do have some books that are out there. You can go under my name, which is DannaOlivo.com.
Right. I saw that.
So I have my own author page.
Yep.
So you can go in and gain access through Amazon for any of my books. I think I've got 5 or 6 of them out there.
Okay. So we'll put that in the show notes too. We'll put a link to that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And let's see. I think that's it.
All right. So people should go. They can sign up for the Academy, but the Academy's self-help, right? So it's not like the semester starts June 1st, right? You can start whenever you're ready.
It's evergreen, so they can go in and they can just take it at any time. They get certified. There's certificates that they get, quizzes, etc.
Very good.
So it's a full program.
Excellent. Well, Danna, I'm glad that we connected through these sites. They actually work to get good people together to share good ideas. And let's stay in touch and keep sharing our message that obviously resonates with people and help people improve their chances of success.
No, I look forward to it.
And I look forward to joining you on your podcast soon.
Yes,
to talk more about this stuff.
Really.
Okay. Thanks, Danna.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Amazon Music, and many of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@beinhackerlaw.com. The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted and produced by me, Mitch Beinhacker. If you'd like more information about my legal services, you can find me on social media or visit my website at beinhackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.